Art students, Brian Proctor, the art teacher, back in class for the next lesson. And this lesson is going to be a long one, so it's not for the faint of heart. Now, I start out slow and then get to the good stuff in the end, so check it out. So if you are intent about really learning how to do clothes, because this is the next part to the video, that was how to draw clothes and shoes, the first step, so this is the second step. But if you are really serious about learning how to draw clothes, this is the one for you. So as I say, I started out slow because I started this maybe like 2 weeks ago, trying to figure out how to show you guys the important stuff that you need. But it just got out of hand, it got crazy, and it got so big. So there's going to actually be 3 parts to this. So this is part 2. So I'm looking at my little notes where to say, I started out slow. And if you don't understand it, get a cloth somewhere during the video, get a cloth or a towel, something thin, and then kind of twist it and bunch it up and wrinkle it, and you'll kind of understand what I'm saying about the wrinkles. And I use the word wrinkle a lot, and it just replace the word wrinkles with folds and bends and twists. I just say wrinkles because I'm stupid. Okay, so anyway, let's get in to the video, because as I say, it's a long video, but if you guys are serious about it, you'll watch it, because I guarantee you will come out a better drawer. All right, let's go. Okay, so let's start out by talking about fabrics. Now, there are a lot of different fabrics. You have like cotton, you have rayon, silk, denim, polyester, so many different fabrics out there, and each fabric has a different thickness. Did I say fabric? Fabric has a different thickness to it, so that means it's going to lay on the form differently. Now, everything's pretty much going to wrinkle, except if you got something strong, armor, plastic thing like that, that's a given. But everything else is going to have some type of wrinkle to it. For example, come on, Brian, I'm thinking too far ahead. Let's say I grab a pen first, and then I can say it. Let's say you have a round table. You have a little round table in your room somehow, and you put a tablecloth on that table. So it's going to go over the edge and be it a round tablecloth. It's going to go over the edge. Now, it's going to sit flat on here. That's a given because of gravity, and it's going to hang down on the sides because of gravity. That's a given. Now, let me erase this little piece here and scope out where my glasses are so I can see this in detail. But around the edges are where you're going to see glasses, going to see where it wrinkles at, and the wrinkles would come down pretty much like that. You'll see some over the edge, and it's going to come down. And that also depends on the type of material. As I said, it's going to be flat, and then once it hits that edge, you're going to see it fold over. And at the bottom, if it's really, well, it's going to be that way anyway, because this wrinkle determines how it's going to be. It's just like a curtain. It will go in and out. As I say, that all depends on the type of material you have. Same way, if you took your finger and, come on, Brian, you can draw a finger. I can, but somehow it's not coming out. You draw that finger and you put your material over top of it, or you poke a hole, put your hand up into material. It's going to look the same way. And that's a poor excuse because you drew your finger through the thing. So the only way that you will see wrinkles is if it is pulled, stretched, or overlapped. Other than that, really try not to worry about it. But there are certain types of wrinkles. There are I think it's like 6 types of wrinkles. There's the Y wrinkle. There's the X wrinkle. There's the S wrinkle, the U, the V, and the P, which I don't see too much. So basically, it's the material, the way the material falls, would be like this. Your Y and your X would be more like that. And that's when your material bunches up together or kind of wants to overlap. That's your V, and your P is kind of like the same way. It's just the way the material. So I got this poor excuse for you right here. This is like a little cloth and a bowl. So as I say, if you put it on the table, the top will be flat, whereas the sides, you get those wrinkles. It's kind of hard to do in the camera. And that's like the upside down U wrinkle. When the fabric is kind of pushing itself together, it's going to make that letter wrinkle. So Y, S, and I would say Y, S, and U are basically your standard wrinkles. And the only time a wrinkle will appear is if you have your fabric. You have your fabric and it's smooth and soft, it'll be flat. But once you start to stretch it, you stretch that material, then you have your wrinkles. And these wrinkles are from being stretched or overlapping is what I said. I'm thinking two things ahead, because when you stretch this, now you're getting these overlaps that come together like that. And then with my finger, you saw it has the U. If you push it together, you start getting some of the other. And it's kind of hard to do because the folds don't jump on command. If you bunch stuff together, you'll start to see like the U wrinkle, the Y. If I pushed it together more, this would become a Y right here. And the S also comes into play somewhere. You can start to see like right here, you have your little curved S, or right here, you have your little curved S. So that's only, as I say, when your material is bunched up together or when it is stretched. So when you're doing your character, if your character has a tight shirt or uniform or pants or something like that, then it's going to, your wrinkle or your over whatever, is going to go in the direction of that stretch. So if this was around his stomach or if this was around his arm, whichever way that fabric is being stretched or pulled, that's the way your wrinkle or your patterns for your wrinkles will go. Let's just say the word pattern. So now with that in mind, let's do a figure. And as I said, I'm thinking as I'm going, so that's why I'm breathing like that. As I said, there are all different types. This is a cotton, so you're going to get more of a bunching on this than you would on something like denim or what is that other stuff? Like jeans are denim, but I can't think of it. The thicker kind of material. So let's do this experiment here. I don't think it's going to work because it needs to be bunched up. The way this is going around my arm, you see those pulls here if it's tight. And like I said, we'll get into that in a minute. All right, so exactly where do I start? So far, this has been like 4 days of trying to prepare this thing because there is a lot as I'm getting into trying to figure out how to teach you guys. I keep running into a lot more that I need to show you, but this will end up turning out to be a huge series. So I'm just going to try to show you the basics to get you going, and then yeah, hopefully you'll get it. So what I have here, and I filmed the first part of this already maybe 3 or 4 days ago, so I don't even remember what I filmed. So what I have here is just a character. This could be, your character, and for all purposes the figure is naked. Okay, so now when you see your comic books characters, basically they're like this. The only thing they do is they'll put on some of their little underwear, probably put a belt on them, make either long sleeves or maybe some kind of glove, boots, turtleneck, and maybe some kind of symbol on them, and then boom, you have a character. And then basically he's just still naked. Now, in order to put clothes on, and people started doing this around the late 80s, they started adding wrinkles to it to make it look like the character has clothes on. And there are certain places where you're going to have wrinkles in your fabric. And wrinkles, when something wrinkles. Now see, you have your stretch and you have your wrinkles. Let me see if this thing will actually work. You have, what you see are wrinkles from it being folded. This is a stretch or a pull like that. When you pull something, you're going to get that almost overlap. If I put them together, if I stretch them and put them together, that's going to be kind of your overlap right there. So just remember that whenever I say that. So when you have your pulls, shall we say, it's going to be around the arms and around the legs, mostly for your pulls, because this is the part that moves the most, basically. And the pull is going to be just like the 1 point perspective, the starburst or the explosion. If you go back and you look at my video on doing 1 point perspective, it's going to look like that. It's always going to look like that around the shoulders and the thighs or the crotch area. So remembering that center point is going to be right in here, and then like right in here and right in here. And usually it'll look like this. You won't get the pulls up in the shorts. You'll have, because the shorts are going to be somewhat tight, you're going to get pulls the opposite way because the body's round. If I put this around my arm or hand or whatever, a couple fingers, and I pulled it, you're going to get pulls going in the direction that it's pulling, which is around. So remember, the body's round, so whenever it pulls, it's going to pull here, except for these joints here, because that's where they're connected. That's where the fabric is connected. So it's going to be like this, and like that. Same thing. You won't get up under there because let's just say this is skin tight, and this is shorts over top of it. So the pulls are going to be in there if they're there. So you're going to be like this, like that. And maybe not so much of a pull. It doesn't have to be like way down there or come out so far, shall we say? Shall we say? Shall I say? And the same thing with the arms. It's going to be like up in here, there, and there. Not a lot. And because you're rounding it off, or the body's round, it's going to fall around that curve. What am I trying to say? I don't know. I'm kind of hungry. So you're not going to have a lot of pulls on there. Now around man, should you have started this video? The bicep, you're going to have straight pulls around there, where the bicep and the forearm meets. So your fabric is still going to be tight, but it's going to bunch up just a little bit right here and then pull there. And then you start to look like he's got like fabric on, but it's really skin tight. And same thing around the knee, but you don't want the knees baggy. You might have just a little bit, maybe not even that. But for the knees, I would basically kind of leave it, but around the shirt and the pants, just a little bit. And then you can double that up like that to make it more thicker, make the fabric more thicker. It also depends on what type of fabric you have. So here, as I say, you would have that pull here, and then because there's more material in here, you'd have it more relaxed down here, and then it's tighter as it goes into around the waist. And then of course, when you have fabric that's pulling around, you're gonna have a little bunch. You're gonna have a little something around the edge. I can't think of what it's called. It will, if it's pulling tightly, it's gonna bunch up, and then around the edge, you're gonna have that little lump. So like it would be, if I drew this close up, like that, you have your pulls. You're gonna have just a little lump right here where these pulls are. So that's going to be the same thing around your the tights. You're going to have just that little lump. It's not going to be straight like that. You're going to have just a little lump where the fabric pulls, just a little tiny bit. That's just for those or doing real detail. Okay, now this is the skin tight superhero type suit, and we're going to get into the clothes in a minute. Now, remembering the body is round again, so you can have, especially coming from under the arms, you have your tightness, your pulls coming around, but you don't want too many because you don't want the clothes to seem baggy. If this is like the superhero outfit, and the chest, this is cool. Yeah, I would leave the superhero stuff, I don't want to say alone, but I wouldn't put too many wrinkles in it. That alone is going to be enough for your superhero. And remember, this is round, so if you do come around, it's gonna be around it. But that's more when you get into jeans and so forth. But if you're drawing a skin tight superhero suit, this is the best thing for it. And then of course your gloves, and your gloves are going to be a little thicker, so you're going to have a little more of this outcropping or whatever, this little lump coming out from your gloves. And he's got sleeves right there, so I don't know, just do it anyway. You don't want like wrinkle after wrinkle after stretch mark after stretch mark after stretch mark, because it throws off the costume. You want the costume kind of tight. You do want the costume tight. Unless he's just wearing shirt and pants type of costume, or just a really loose fitting costume. And then you maybe have something down here as well. And it doesn't have to go to the end. It can just be in the middle somewhere, start in the middle, or start at the end and pull just a little bit. So if I ink that, which I hadn't planned on inking, this is where my time goes. My time goes as far as videos getting longer. This one shouldn't have went all the way across. That shouldn't just I have to be in the inking mood where my hand is doing right before I can get a good ink going on. Other than that, it's kind of like you need coffee and you're kind of shaky a little bit. Now in the arms, you can do some there. If it's, you know, it depends on, as I say, your fabric. So I'm not going to ink this whole thing, and around down here, and it's going to come from down, because this is the widest part of the body. So whatever material you're using, it's going to stretch from under this arm. But as I say, you don't want to use too many stretch points. And then if you stretch across like the stomach, and I'll get into that with later with regular clothes, you'll see, how can I explain that? You won't see every ab, you'll just see certain parts where the shadow comes across. So like if I stretch like here, you'll have like a little shadow here, maybe some here where it sucks in, because you don't want to have complete abs on clothes, because it takes away from the actual fabric, and you'd have to figure out what part you want seen and what part you don't want. But the higher parts like this and this, where you would get most of your cut in shadow, you'd see that. As I say, you can your pulls are going to come straight across the shadow, so you can't have the shadow like I just did this. You'd have to do your pulls first and then add your shadow or erase, because you'd have a little shadow under the bottom of your pulls, stretch lines like that. Now if you tuck something into the shirt, you're doing like little triangles, triangles, just like that. Like that. And the chest wise, for the superhero costume, I would leave it or make it one piece, maybe a little shadow, and some pull lines in the chest. And then, of course, you have your turtleneck and just maybe some definition lines where the neck goes and a little bit of shadow for like your collarbones and so forth. Now the shorts, let's just do the belt real quick. Belt is always thick because it's leather or whatever. No wrinkles in there. So as I say, you'd have your lumps. Not too many. You don't want him to look like he's wearing like baggy clothes. But because it's tight, you're going to see, you know, that stretch line. And then maybe, you know, the curve, because this is the looser part for the man junk. And then the line, and then your starburst, shall we say, coming out. And you can break some of them up. And remember, it's got to go through. You won't see that shadow, that shade with that pull mark over top of it. Same thing with the boots. Let's just say I'm tucking something into the boots, which you usually don't, but if it's like military, bring it out a little bit. Same way here. If this is the boot, bring it out, and then curve it around the leg, and then you can have those little, the V, yeah, upside down. Not too many. And that way it looks like it's tucked into the boot. And then again, right here, a little bit there, coming down, same thing, a little bit there, your little wrinkle, your little mountain mark, and then go back up to the tight part. All this would be tight sides here. And of course your boots are thick material. And sometimes you have it right here because there's loose material for the ankle, where the ankle would fit. Depends on the type of boot you have on your character. Like that. So, all right, let me give you a few more key points about wrinkles and pulls. And you have to forgive this editing because when I started this, I didn't know where to start. So I'm just throwing stuff in because there's a lot of stuff to learn about this. All right, so as I say, if you pull your fabric, it's going to bunch in the direction that, whatever direction you're pulling in. And bunch up meaning like this. It's going to come together. Yep, get it on the camera. Like this. And it's going to bunch up together to make those round folds. Like that. Just like in a curtain. The closer you put them together, the higher these will get per se, or the tighter you pull it. If I have my fabric and I pull it just a little bit, you get just some, but if I pull it a lot, they'll get closer and higher and tighter together. So just remember that, whatever direction you pull it in, it's going to do that. Another thing is if you take something or if it's hanging off of something. So let's say I'll take this pin and I will put it here and I will hang it off here. See if I can get it from the side. You will have the U shape. It's still pulling because it depends on, as I said, how wide this is, or if it's a flat table. But you'll get these U's. You'll get these shapes that come around and it's like an upside down U. So if I put this pin here and I put my fabric on it, erase the pin or erase whatever is holding that up, you will get these U shapes. So let's just say that it's there. You get these shapes like this is U. Like that. Whatever it's hanging off of, it could be hanging off of something like that, and you have it here, and it's hanging off. It's going to have that little U here. Wherever that edge is, if this was the edge, it's going to be along the edge. I mean, they don't necessarily all have to be that high, but it's going to have that U. Now, when you push them closer together, that U is going to turn into a V. It's going to turn into a sharp V. Because as I said, they're tighter together so that U becomes a V. So remember that when fabric hangs off of somebody. And this, let's just say this was this was a leg. This is your pants around your leg. It's hanging down. I need to look at the camera when I'm doing this. Hopefully you guys saw this. It's hanging down. So if you have shoes, let me draw this, and I'm just grabbing a bunch of pencils. Here's your fabric. Here's your leg. Here's your pants hanging off your leg. Now your shoe is like, let me draw a shoe. A foot. Let me draw a shoe. We're gonna do like something like this. So your shoe is going to go up in here just like you're putting your pants down on it. So once your foot or the shoe hits this and goes up under this, or this goes on top of your foot or your shoe, you're going to have those wrinkles. It's going to push that fabric up, should I say. It's going to push that fabric up like that. So when you're pushing fabric up, look at the camera, you're going to have these shapes. Usually like you're going to have the X shapes. Look at the camera. The more you push it up, the more it's going to bunch up, and you're going to get those S and X shapes. Look at the camera. So you'll get that, say, if you see like here, you get like the U on the opposite sides, you get another U, which can make the X. You get a lot of diamonds together. You get like the S if you have a whole lot of them. It goes down this way. So those are the shapes that you use. So just remember that whenever you have fabric, and it pushes up, it's going to bunch up. Like if this was your sleeve and you pull up your sleeve all the way, like we all do, it's going to look something like that. You're just going to have a bunch of wrinkles that take on these shapes. And that's just basically your X, and if you choose to, you can make an S out of this whole thing that continues. But that's on you. But you don't want to get too many wrinkles in your clothes, or your hero or your character looks like he needs to go out and buy iron and iron his clothes. So that's just a couple tips when doing clothes. So now let's go ahead and do these clothes that I've been putting off for about 5 days or more. So let's start out with this position. I've drawn up just a couple positions to where I can show you guys how to place a few wrinkles. You don't have to go overboard on it, as I said, because it looked like your character needs an iron. And forgive me because I just got up and my throat is not where it's supposed to be yet. So anytime the person raises his arm, you have your chest here, your lats here. You're going to have your wrinkles that's going to come from under the front, because this is going to bunch up, and I can't erase this because this is a photocopy. I drew these and I photocopied them as I was going along. I said to myself, I needed copies so that I can show you different types of clothes, and I'm looking for my brush. So you're going to have, coming in from the front, not behind the arm, you're going to have your pulls that are going to come there. And anytime you have a wide pull like that, you're going to have it inside. So just remember that. You're going to have the pulls that come around and then go around the back. Like that. And then for the chest as well. And it depends on the type of shirt, because this is protruding right here. So you could have the triangles or the points to indicate where that chest is coming out at, along that chest line. And if this is a dress shirt, which is, I meant it to be a dress shirt, you're going to have just a few wrinkles up here, or pull or bunches. I guess that's the best word for it, a bunch, which could be like the triangle. Not too many, of course, as I say, not too many. And the triangle equals the X. The inside of the X is the diamond. Get that right, Brian? So you don't want to have too many, as I said. And then usually wherever the shirt is bending a lot, then you will have that like right in the elbow. And then of course your dress shirt is not going to go all the way to your hand or to your wrist. Whenever you lift your arm up, that shirt is going to come back just a little bit. Maybe not that much. That fabric is going to come back a little bit. And then you have where it tucks in at, or the way it was sewn. Where it was sewn, and being just detailed, if it's buttoned right here, you'd have that little button line that comes like something like this. But we're not getting into the button line. So we have this comes out and in, and then you can have a few wrinkles right here. As I said, not too many. It's gonna be like that. And then of course, you know, it's sewn like right here. And where it's sewn at, if you have two pieces of fabric that's sewn in the middle, it's gonna affect that pull, because you can pull it this way and it'll almost end at this piece of fabric where it's sewn at, because that's a whole separate piece itself. But if it's pulled real tight, it'll kind of go through. And that's just something to watch when you know where your seam line is, like in your shirt or your pants or something, because it'll tend to slow down the effects of a pull. So, and then you have wrinkles on your back just a little bit, as I say. Here, you're gonna have wrinkles up, or not pulls, but bunches. Get that right, Brian. You have bunches up here, but not too many. And then you'll have your collar. And there's a line there. There's your seam for your collar. And then it goes around. And because you have so much material in the back, you want to bring this out unless it's tucked in. And then the front, you can have, depends on the material and the type of shirt you have. You can have this little pieces here. It goes down, and then your V. And as I say, you don't have to put too many wrinkles in it, or wrinkles or bunches or pulls, but you just gotta like stop wherever you figure you need to stop at. And then it goes down into the shirt. So I'm not gonna do pants on this because I have another one where I'll do pants. And the same thing for this drawing here. You know where the seam is. You don't have to draw the seam, but in your head, you know where it's at. All right, so again, we have your not your collar, your sleeve, and it's gonna come up and wrinkle here, and it's gonna push it together, which is you can be your X's or just your U's or your diamonds. And a dress shirt has a lot of material. So one thing, you want to bring your collar down. If you're drawing collar, your shoulder down. If you're drawing a dress shirt, you have to have room for that little seam on the side, and then it goes down here. And then you can have your couple creases here, bunches. Get it together, Brian. Get it together here. And then usually, only when it's bending will you see, on the side that's bending, will you see the bunches. You know, but one bunch leads to another. Say like if you have this here, you're gonna have another one there. And this one will usually have one here. And they all kind of continue to make their own. But as I say, you don't want too many. So if this was coming in here, just a small indentation here, you can have a little bit here, which would lead to another one there. But you don't want to go too crazy, as I say. All right, so coming down with the chest, especially if this guy's like a powerful character, it would come around. Remember the little starburst? As I said, it comes out like that, so that chest would come around. And if it's hanging, well, let's just do this. Let's do that. You have another one here, and maybe one there. And if this point is hanging, then of course you can use your upside down U's to show that that point is not, that raising is not prevalent, but it's hanging there. And then of course, as I say, if you have a wide space between two bunches, You're gonna have that. You can have it come all the way around to the front. And as I said, one bunch leads to another. So you don't want to go too crazy. And then your stomach, because the guy has like a flat stomach, unless you're doing somebody big, you will not put too many wrinkles unless you see maybe part of the side, what are you saying? The other side of the shirt. And then you have the buttons here, which you can't do with a magic marker because I just kind of screwed that up. But yeah, and then if you tuck the shirt into the pants, and I'll bring it down a little bit more, it's going to tuck in because, again, you're bunching that material up. You're taking that material, you're tucking it into the pants. So it's going to bunch up right here and make this little mountain like that. So that's what this is. And of course, as I said, just do some diamond triangles to where you would tuck the shirt in. And then, of course, that's going to break more wrinkles, which makes more wrinkles, but you don't want to just overdo it. You don't want to overdo it. So your basic one is to say your S, because this could easily come into an S. Your X, maybe some diamonds up in there somewhere, but don't go too crazy. All right, so that's your long sleeve. Your short sleeve is basically going to be the same thing, except this. I think this is the original one. Let's do this because I might keep the original. And no, this is a photocopy. Man, I think I have a good copier. Your short sleeve is going to do the same thing, except of course it's shorter. Now, if you have a character which has more muscular definition, you're not going to get that many wrinkles. You're just going to get like shadow mostly, and then just a couple pulls here, and maybe under the arms. But you don't want to go too crazy. And as I said, this is a photocopy, so I can't get too much. And then around the shoulder, I can't erase it, should I say. Around the shoulders here, and then maybe in the back, because this is round, it's round, and you're going to have that tightness pulling like that. So not too much, and a bunch. When you bunch it up, remember you have the U, or if it's a hard pull, you have that diamond at the end. That round is here, and you go for another one. Not too many, just only where it's pulling tight. And then you can do some in the front if you choose, but again, not too many wrinkles. You don't want to do too many wrinkles. And then if this is his tricep, you can also do that there for the shirt, or right here, wrinkles here. Bunches, not wrinkles. A wrinkle is something you find in your clothes when you let it sit for days and don't iron it. And then of course this. So you have this. What did I do with my line? My light is crazy. It's just like a lot of glare. The bunching, pulling together. And then, as I said, not too many in the front. The chest, because it's going to be tight against, it's almost like what I did that I can't find it. The first one I showed you of the superhero, this one, it's going to be basically tight around the outer form of the body, whereas the dress shirt is going to be just kind of tight, but it's going to hang a lot. Look at the camera. So yeah, as I said, you're going to get the chest, and you're going to get like the shadow, most of that tight stuff. And then you can get some more extra pulls. So this is here. You pull around that arm. Come up, and this is rough, quick inking. So don't blame me, because I said I have to get my hand in the mood for inking. It's like painting. When you paint, you got to loosen your wrist. You got to be loose. But first thing in the morning, I'm not loose for inking. And because it moves here, you have something like that. And then maybe because of the your tricep being tight, like that. So, I mean, and you can, if you want to get crazy, you can just add a little bit of shadow there and some pull marks right here. But you can't have a pull that goes across a pull. It's going to have to kind of join each other like that, forming a triangle. But the more you, the more you draw, the more you'll see it. And it's the same thing right here. Short sleeve is going to be tight around the form. You have this. Then because his arm is not out, you won't see that wrinkle. You'll see more of it coming out. You'll see that starburst coming down more than around because this arm is covering this part here. So you see this. And then this. You can bring it all the way, but I tend to like leave a gap sometimes when I'm drawing, because you don't need the full thing, because that shows that you have clothes on, versus doing this like that. It kind of just takes it away. It takes away from something. It just takes away a little bit. And then there's your shirt, your shoulder, leaving some room for that your actual shoulder, which goes right here. So don't tend to make your shoulder too high doing a side position. And then, as I say, you can have some come from behind and then tuck it in. If you don't want to tuck it in, just have it long. And then where I had this little diamond right here, this little heel, you have your bunches right there. And then you can have a little shadow. You can, if the sleeve is really, really tight, then you will have your bunch lines right there. And then you won't just want to, don't forget your shadow, put it that way, in your arms. And then depending on the type of t-shirt, you could have a couple going around, but I wouldn't too many wrinkles. As I say, your t-shirt's gonna come back here, bunch up, and then goes around under the arm. So put the arm. Like that. Okay, next up. All right, so next one. I was gonna do a suit coat, but a lot of people are into hoodies, so I'm gonna do the hoodie to show you guys the hoodie. And I think this is another copy. It is another copy because it won't erase. All right, keep an eye on the monitor, Brian. Keep an eye on the monitor. Now, the one thing about the hoodie is, the biggest thing about the hoodies, wearing hoodies, is you have a lot of material. So it's not gonna be here, so I'm gonna bring it down here. That's gonna be the bottom of your hoodie. Let's just know that. So hoodie's not really gonna be tight, especially down the stomach, because it has a lot of material, And the next thing is that your seam around your shoulder or your arm is going to be way down. It's going to be way down, like here somewhere, because you have a lot of material. So let's just start at this. Of course, once you raise your arms, your sleeves are not going to stay there at your wrist. It's going to pull back realistically. So then you always have on your hoodie, you have your sleeves with that material, that stretch material like that. Then you're going to have the part that puffs up, and then you're going to come back. It's not going to fit tight unless you got a big bruiser type of character whose hoodie just fits too tight, but then it's just going to be crazy looking. And then you're going to have material that's like way down to the seam. I hope that's the right word, the seam. Like that. I'm just drawing the extra material before I even think about wrinkles. And then you're going to have something like this. You can bring this out and bring it down a little bit to make it look more like it's got a fit to it, a shape hugging kind of fit, which it doesn't. It comes down off the back, and it's going to be like that, because the bottom is going to be the same thing. Let's just say this. It's going to have that stretch material. I don't know what that's called at this point. Let me get something less evasive, like this. At the end, okay. And as I say, you're gonna have that seam. It comes way down off the arm, and because it's pulling, when you put that arm up, it's going to pull. And whenever you get to pulling, you have your long pull marks. Wherever you have like a type of mountain there and it goes in, you know it's going to have that inner part too, and maybe that outer. So as I'm saying on this, if you draw a line, straight line, let's just say, but you add, how are you trying to say it? Just draw it. This is my fabric. Okay, that's my fabric. Now wherever I have this heel to it, you bring it in, because that's kind of like a bunch. It's like a bunch up. It's like, here's that heel right here. So once you do that heel, then you have more that's going to come to it, or to go in, and then you have more fabric. I don't know if you understood that or not. So wherever there is an outer line, there has to be an inner line. And you don't have to go ahead and do the whole diamond and do the X part that goes to it. But if I do that and this, and then I bring that in, you're going to have to just give a little bit of indentation that there is a wrinkle here, because this would go here and behind this like that. So that's another indentation, just like this one's like this. And then you're getting into your shadow for your wrinkles at that point. But just because I did this little bit, I broke it up. It's not straight like that. And you go there. And of course, where the elbow is hitting, which would probably be about right here, you're going to have that U. And then usually it comes to a point like that. So coming around, you're still going to have your here, but it's going to be much bigger because you have a lot of material. It's going to come around, usually all the way down with hoodies. And as I say, whenever you have one line, you have to have an inner line to go with that too. So and the tighter it is, the more of a U it's going to be. Now, the tighter it is, the more of a point it's going to be, like up in here instead of a U. The U is more of the relaxed. The point is more the bunched together more. And then up in the arm, and I say, I'm sorry, I can't erase a pencil mark because this is copy. I have another one, and there's always another one. One creates another one. So here, there, and yes, I'm going fast because I have a lot more to cover, minus the two short videos that I did earlier on it. And because this is pulling, you just get maybe a little bit in the back, and then that hangover piece. You can do your diamonds or your U's coming up here, like so. And then again the front, and then you have your pocket. And you can have shadow depending on if the pocket is open or not. That's why I say you usually don't do hoodies like really tight, unless you have like a bruiser type of a character. And then you have your, depends on if he has it on, so I'll just put it on. And also that depends on the what, how low or how pulled down you have that hoodie onto that character. So his head would be in here. You might see some chin here. It goes down there. Now, might see some creases here, and then that hoodie is seamed at the top, so you wouldn't really see any pulls there. And it also depends on how much material you have, and you can have just some shadow showing kind of like where the face indicates where the chin is. I don't know, not too much with the ear because your hood is going to be thick. And your pants right here. And now I'll do one with some sweatpants on, but your hoodie is going to be a thick, large material. You can put some here, wrinkles here, but as I say, you don't want to go too crazy. One wrinkle equals another. You have to have that part around it, and then inside is going to be dark. So one wrinkle equals another. If it goes up, then yeah, I'm going to go get into it. I just want to show you guys the basic, simple wrinkles. All right, the same thing, we're going down, except this time the sleeve is going to be probably all the way down, and I'm going to ink this so it's not going to be too pretty. You have that material, and here, as I said, you're going to have the that extra material that's tucked into that sleeve. You come up, whenever you come up, it's got to come back down, and that's going to create a wrinkle somewhere. And of course, you're going to have a bunch of wrinkles in there, and the as I said, the stitch for that arm comes way down off the shoulder, and you have a lot of material that you're using for the hoodie. And of course, it's going to be there, and you don't have too many wrinkles. You just have some pull lines, but these are not hard pull lines. And you have this kind of wrinkle. You have that diamond shape in there, which turns into that X almost. One line equals another line, and you can have something by the elbow a little bit. And then the back, you have the back is going to come down and out, having that material. And in the front, going to come down like that, and then you can have the lines, not too many. The thinner the material, the more folds and wrinkles you're going to have. So yeah, I know the chest is up here, so you can also have that shadow here, and then if you choose, you can have that, which looks like the chest is being draped down. Your pocket, and then maybe some wrinkles there. I wouldn't do too many. I'm going to go around, and if you have the hood off, this is basically going to be bunched up together. And the hood will come around here, and of course your string somewhere in there. And your line, your seam line. Yes, this is going fast, but if you just remember, one wrinkle equals another one, whatever that could possibly be. You always have an inner and an outer one, which equals another one, which equals another one, which equals another one. But just remember the X, the S, the X, X, the S, the U, and the V are your basic wrinkles that you'll see all the time. And if not, just do some diamonds. Just like do a diamond in there, and then you have your X, like that. Something like that. I don't know what I'm saying. Something like that. All right, I got these three, so as I said, it's gonna go quick now. This thing, because the hoodie is not gonna be skin tight, you're gonna bypass all of these lumps in the body and just go over. And what I usually do, if I'm doing some clothes that are not skin tight, I'll go over as the muscle as high as I think the clothes are, or as thick as the clothes are. So this was the muscle. Is this the original? This is the original. Yes, it is. So, well, I'll go over just as high as I want it to go and stop it where I need to stop it. Then again, like that. And that determines, I'll keep some shape to it regardless. I'll keep some shape to it. Same thing here. Curves around because that is a cylinder. The arm is a cylinder. I know this it's gonna dramatically crease in here, so I know that. Keep that. This is a high point, so I'll keep that, and then it's gonna wrinkle up in here as well. So this is my basic shape of the coat that I'm going to do, or the hoodie that I'm going to do. Bring it down like that. He still retained his muscular shape. So then I'll just start adding the wrinkles. As I say, I know the major ones right here. It's going to come down. It's going to bunch together. It's going to bunch together. Kind of like this. If you have two pieces, it's going to fold in like that. You're going to have that C. So you have these two pieces that fold, that bunch together. Come on, fabric. Come together like this. So this is what this is. You have this one piece here, folding here. This other piece here, folding there. And usually it ends up like that. That C, unless you go all the way down. And of course, because this is folded, you're going to have this here like that, which is going to come into another fold. And there's your S, which is going to come into another fold. But you just want to do your major ones. And I wouldn't have this as thick. And another thing is in here, because this is cramped up, or this shoulder, they come together here. You're going to have one here and one there. Keeping that, same thing again, it's going to fold here, and probably fold there. So there's no folds on the bottom or no pulls on the bottom. So you can just kind of keep that shape. But if I have a fold here, like if the bicep, if it's tight on the bicep, like that, then I'll do like a dip here and a dip there, because this fold comes down like that. Remembering where the seam is, the seam is like way down on the shoulder somewhere. Off of the shoulder, should I say, here. And here's my other seam, probably gonna be like right here. And then let's just put the hood on them. So it depends on what you want to do with the hood. I don't want to ink it, I don't want to mess it up right quick. Depends on the hood. The hood could be way out here on the shoulder somewhere or down, but it's going to come, it's going to sit. If it's out, it's going to sit on the shoulder. If it's just a thin hoodie or small hood on the hoodie, it's not. But let's do halfway like that. And then of course it's going to come out here, and then you can bring the material in here, but it's always going to be like out here so you can see the inner. Like this. Depends on your material of your hoodie. It could be round. If not, if some people want to do that mysterious thing and have the face covered up, but it's always going to be thin here. Here's the head, and this is going to be black inside. Here's the head. Going to be black inside. And then of course it ends here. And then that sewn line there. Now, again, it's going to be bunched up here, and I'm just going to throw these in there because for time-wise, this is pulling up. So remember, whichever direction you pull, you're going to get that pull line. So this is pulling up. So you're going to get the pull line here going this way. This one is going to be gapped in just a little bit, or rolls together, or bunched is what I'm trying to say. And then there's not going to be any pull here. But remember, one wrinkle leads to another, which leads to another. And this too. Not too many wrinkles, not too many wrinkles. And then because this is kind of like gapped in, you just have a few there. I know people are like, you're going too fast. I'm sorry, but time-wise, I don't want this video to be like 2 hours long. So this is not going to be really pulling. This is going to be hanging down. So you're not going to get much here. If he is really muscular, you'll see the shadow because that chest is going to be pulling. But then you can have some pull lines, just a few pull lines here, because it's showing the direction that it is pulling, and you can actually bring this down here more and here more. And here is the gap, not the gap, the seam. So as I say, you could have a line right here and then start a new one on the other side, because there's two separate pieces of material. It's not too much pull here, so I wouldn't do too much here. Coming down here, you can have a tuck in right here, comes out there, and one line leads to another. And of course you have this, and I would have my U's or my C's going, you know, in one direction, not too many, because it's pulling in that direction. And then you have your other part of your material like that. Don't forget your strings. You can have more here, but as I say, you don't want to go too crazy with the wrinkles. All right, let's do this real quick. Wow, this is going to be big. This might be a second part or third part because it did the first part already. All right, the hoodie, let's just do this. Sticking with the hoodie, and I'll do the t-shirts and other stuff in a minute. This is where I'm going to really go fast at. You want to keep that little point somewhat. Remember, go big. Not too big because it's actually touching the shoulders, and it's going to come down and out. And then I always do my outer first. Then I'll come back and I'll put whatever wrinkles I need in it. Sleeve. And did I do that sleeve, or did I just did the outer part? You just did the outer part. Or you could have the hood coming way down. If there's not a lot of light, you'll see some inside material of the hood. The strings, so forth. All right, the chest, which is prevalent, just part of that shadow. It's going to bunch up. So the sleeve, as I say, is like way out here. So this wrinkle in here won't really do too much into this one because there's two separate pieces of fabric. But because the chest is round like that, you might put a couple wrinkles in there. Coming from here on down, maybe. Because this is, it's not twisted, it's coming down like that. And in the pocket, if you choose to do a pocket, the arms should have a lot of material. Not much wrinkle there. Like that, and then maybe just to show that, you know, the guy has got a nice chest. You put if the chest curves out like this, you put those little diamonds or little V's right there to show the guy's got a chest. And if you want to, you can just do some shadow right here to have it like it's sucked in a little bit, like it's like really tight on his chest. So if I did that with all this glare coming from my light, I can't really see. It would look like that. Here's his face, neck. You see some material if you don't put shadow, but most people will because it's a hoodie. Like that. And then remember, that's sewn around your neck like that. And see, I'm so used to doing wrinkles that I'll just kind of like do it fast and then put my own kind of wrinkles in and just add more where I need. That. So remember, you have this little shadow there. You have not really bunches on the shoulder because it's just draped across the shoulder. A little shadow there. And you can have some of these come down further. A little shadow there. And maybe some, because it's pulling or it's hanging down from the chest, top of the chest. And then that material down the bottom. Like that. So that would be my hoodie. And then you don't need another line here in the stomach. You know, use that for color or just whatever. You can, if you just like going wrinkle crazy, you can do it, but you don't put it in the pocket because it makes the pocket look thin. Okay, t-shirt long sleeve. Same thing. If you do a t-shirt, your bicep is like this, so your tricep is like that. So you're gonna have this shadow right there, in there. Same thing with this. So you're gonna have a pull because when the guy stretches, you're gonna have that pull line there, and it's gonna cut right through that shadow. But you have the shadow beneath. Can you see that? You have the shadow beneath. Let me darken it and see if we can do it this way. That's really small. So here's my shadow. Because the bicep is going like this. So my shadow is going to be in this little groove here. Now when I have my pull lines or stretch lines, then that's going to be above the shadow. Like that. You're still going to have your shadow, but it makes it look like your fabric is pulling, but then there's still shadow. Same thing, bunches here, bunches there. Here's your t-shirt, it's just round like that. Coming up, a couple bunches here. If it's a long sleeve, a bunch here. And your sleeve, usually it stretches a little bit more so you don't have to bring it way down like that. Tight, tight. You don't have to do the thing. Your chest is going to be pushing against that sleeve, so you're going to see that. You probably have these on your chest. You can have the pulls right here. It's going to come from around the back and come down. Maybe here because it's going to be tight. And then your shirt. So long sleeve, short sleeve. Keeping it tight on the body. So because it's pulling up, of course, it's going to pull. Remember, as I said, wherever that seam is, it's not going to affect that other one that pull too much. Pull right here, here, right here. And then there's your neck. You're going to have more pulls right here. Coming up. Pull right here, not too many. Coming up, and you can have these little lumps over here. It depends on your material, like that. And then let's see your chest. That can actually break it up a little bit. Break that shadow up is what I'm trying to say. Pulls from here. Down, like that, and then you can have your shadow from here. Just a little shadow to show that this is where the shadow is. And then you can have a pull coming straight through it, a little more shadow, pull coming straight through it. You do a little here in between your pulls. So yeah, make the shirt a little longer. Depends on what you're doing. And if it's bunched up at the bottom, you have more wrinkles at the bottom. The top, chest, as I said, you can have some shadow here. Or you can pull it, depending on your character. And then this right here. Just a little bit here. Not too many wrinkles. You don't want to go too many wrinkles. This was a t-shirt, the same thing, but I'm not going to do that one. I'll just do a couple of them. Did the hoodie. So let's do this one. And I was going to do just this t-shirt straight down, but hopefully you guys can get it. All right. I know this video is getting crazy long, so I'm going to do this last one. And I'm going to cut it and I'm going to make another part out of it because there's so much more I want you guys to know. But I'm just going to do the basics on the other ones, and then you'll have a good place to start. So if I'm doing a dress shirt, you're gonna have that collar, first of all. You're gonna have that the button piece. It's gonna kind of be twisted because your body's twisting. This is gonna go around the neck. Of course, it's gonna be, like I said, that upside down kind of raindrop going up. And then you have your collar coming down, which is that diamond, and then the piece like here, same thing. Since this arm is coming up, this is going to be kind of bunched up here. You won't see too much. Now, the thing about the dress shirt is, again, your stitching, your seam for your sleeve is going to be kind of like way out, because it gives you a little bit of time, a little bit of moving motion. Yeah, boy. So yeah, I get my basics first. Since this is a dress shirt, I'll keep it somewhat tight, but square it off. So we say I won't do so much of a circle. It's kind of squared off, flattened off a little bit. Then it's going to come down. And then, because a dress shirt is more of a harder material than the t-shirt, I won't tuck this in just because. So you're going to have more pronounced or sharper wrinkles or pull lines. So again, going up, remember this is the seam right here, so this won't affect this too much unless it's really, really a strong pull. So you're going to have like a lot of little pull lines going up here. And that's the one difference about a t-shirt and a dress shirt. So you're going to have that overlap here. It's going to come down and overlap here and go down. And then maybe because it's not pulling too much up here, you're going to have just a few of the diamond shape bunch lines. It's not pull lines, they're bunch lines. And then, because you might have one strong line that comes down from like this line, you go into that. And then the rest kind of start from that seam and go around. And since this is up, you're going to have a lot of those V's or diamonds. Because you're pushing it up. The more you push it up, the more it becomes these little diamond shapes. When you push hard, it's not round, it's not sharp round like goes round. It becomes more of a sharper diamond edge. Diamond edge, point, triangle. You in diamonds and triangles. But again, you don't want to overdo it. Same thing with this, because your seam is here. It's going to stop and then it's going to curve around, because this guy's got a big muscular arm. It's going to curve around, especially at this point. And after this point, it's a little different. But you have that seam here, that bunches together here. And then also around here. And some of your wrinkles can go, some of your bunches can go actually over the line. And then because of this chest, it's going to go under here, that, and then that. And then maybe just a bit of one right there. And you're not going to have this because it's not going to be hanging. It's just going to be kind of straight because of your material, sewn material. This is a small pin. How did you pick this one up, Brian? I don't know. So again, you have a lot of bunches up in here. This is your seam, which you usually do when you do dress shirts. And then you want to have, with dress shirts, I usually bring the fold over top of the arm, kind of like it goes behind the arm like that. Keeping everything more sharper with the dress shirt. I said, keeping more stuff more sharper with the dress shirt, and then there's a couple here. And if you choose, you can do just a little bit, show where the chest is, and then down. All right, so I think I'm going to end this one here, but stay tuned for part 2. We'll come back from part 2. I'm just going to continue this and then have it up like the next day so you can see both parts, because somewhere in all of this mess that I'm doing, I've got some women that I want to show you how to do dresses for. So don't go away, because I've got, as I said, I've got a lot more to show you guys. So yeah. It's a lot to it. As I said, this has been going on for a few days of me trying to figure out what to show you guys, what's most important. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Sorry it got too long, but there's a lot when you're doing clothes. And yeah, let's just end this because I'll start rambling. So I'll see you in the next video, which will continue a couple days after this is up. All right, out.